Welcome to the administration training for the Wyoming Prevention Needs Assessment Survey. This training will take about 10 minutes to complete and will provide you with information on what to expect as you prepare for and administer the PNA to your students. Your help is essential in gathering good, high-quality information about the youth population in Wyoming. I realize that your primary responsibility is for teaching and instructing, so I want to thank you for taking the time to gather this information and watch this training video. Though this information is not directly tied to your teaching, the information gathered in the PNA is something that can be used to help improve the learning process for many students. There is a strong, well-established link between health and learning. Students' health impacts their attendance, test scores, and ability to pay attention in class. Supporting kids and addressing health issues such as drug and alcohol use can greatly improve their ability to learn and their academic success. By gathering this information via the PNA, we can help reduce the obstacles to learning and improve attendance, grades, and test scores. Here is a listing of the main survey team. Eric Kanan is the principal investigator on this project and is in charge of coordinating the survey and writing many of the reports. Sean Heim also assists on the project. Eric and Sean work for the Wyoming Survey and Analysis Center, also called WYSAC, which is a department of the University of Wyoming. You can get more information about the project and the project team members at our website, www.pnasurvey.org. There are 5 parts to this training. First, I will talk about the history and context of the PNA in Wyoming. Second, I will primarily talk about the parts of the survey administration that you will be actively involved in, starting where you inform the parents and obtain their permission to have their child participate in the survey. Third, I will present how the online survey will be administered this year and discuss differences between the online survey administration and the paper-based survey administration. Fourth, I'll talk about the paper and pencil version of the survey. And finally, I'll talk about how the survey needs to be administered and what problems might arise. Let's jump into part 1 of the training, which will cover some of the background information of the PNA. I'd like to take a few moments to give a brief background of where this survey has come from and its role here in Wyoming. During the early 1990s, drug and alcohol use prevention went through a kind of paradigm shift. At that point, drug and alcohol abuse prevention providers realized that the public health model of prevention could bring to the table many tools and methods that were previously unexplored or overlooked. In particular, the public health models that used risk and protective factors could bring a coherency and scope that was not understood in the realm of substance abuse prevention before. Growing from this shift, there was a realization that we needed data on risk and protective factors in adolescence. The PNA grew out of those efforts to compile risk and protective factor information. A group out of the University of Washington put together the first large-scale self-report survey on risk and protective factors. They named it the Communities That Care Youth Survey, and one by one, states began adopting this survey as a means of better understanding both the consumption rates and also the attitudes that influence those consumption rates. The goal of the survey was to be wide-ranging, gathering prevalence for 13 different substances, along with many attitudinal constructs. The survey also needed to be a manageable length so that it could be administered in a single class hour at school. It also needed to have good reliability and validity. The researchers met those goals, and in 2001, this survey was packaged in Wyoming as the Prevention Needs Assessment. This was the first time that the PNA survey was administered in Wyoming. For all the years of survey administration, the goal has been to produce a complete census of all 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grade students who are enrolled in public schools in Wyoming. The idea behind this census survey is to provide information all the way down to the school district level about students in their schools. We can always bring it up to the regional or state level, but community data is often very hard to come by, and ultimately, most decisions about how and where to spend prevention funding comes through the community. Communities have used the PNA data in community-level planning. For instance, as a part of the Prevention Framework project, all the communities in the state have used the PNA in conjunction with other data sources in a needs assessment to identify those areas that are influencing the misuse of alcohol in their communities. As the communities decided, based on the data, where they will focus their efforts, those same measures from the PNA and other data sources serve as the means by which they will be evaluated. Finally, many funding projects require reporting some very specific information that is gathered exclusively on the PNA. For instance, the Safe and Drug-Free Communities grants require that communities report the perception of risk and harm from using alcohol, cigarettes, marijuana, and the misuse of prescription drugs. Thus, overall, the PNA data is used throughout the state and provides valuable information that is not gathered elsewhere. Now we'll begin Part 2 of the training, which covers the parental consent process. The survey process in Wyoming is relatively straightforward. We have to complete these 6 steps. At this point, steps 1 and 2 are basically complete. We have contacted all the schools and school districts to get permission to administer the surveys in their respective facilities. We have also gathered information about when and to whom the school will be administering the survey. The steps that you will most actively be involved in are steps 3 and 4. You are the ones who will seek out parental consent and administer the survey. Without you, the rest of this project could not succeed. The majority of this presentation is on those 2 steps to give you a clear outline of what needs to be done. This should provide an understanding of what we at YSAC will be doing and what you will be doing. The last 2 steps mostly have to do with what occurs here at YSAC. This is the timeline of when you can expect to do different tasks, such as hand out the parent information letters or administer the survey. This timeline is centered around the survey date that your school or school district has chosen as the first day that you will administer the survey. From that survey date, everything is backed up and put in place. At least 4 weeks prior to your survey date, we will send you all the survey materials that you will need, including the parent information letters. This timeline ensures that you receive the parent information letters at least 3 weeks before your survey date. Then, at least 2 weeks before your survey date, you will need to send the parent information letters home with your students. In some schools or school districts, these parent consent letters will be included with a regular school mailing, such as report cards or newsletters. In other school districts, they will be sent home with the students. At the point where you distribute the parent letters, the schools need to start keeping track of what letters are returned. Your school district has elected to use a passive parental consent. This means that students are assumed to have permission to take the survey unless the parent returns a portion of the consent form indicating that they wish to have their child opt out of survey participation. Thus, from the moment you sent out the parental letters and until the survey date, you will need to know which students no longer have permission to take the survey. During this time, schools are encouraged to let parents know about the survey. We want parents to make an informed decision as to whether they want their student to take the survey. Other publicity may include newsletter inserts, parent emails, or other means of letting parents know about the survey. Please contact us if you need any help with other promotional activities. When it comes time to administer the survey, it is vitally important that you only administer the survey to those that have permission. If you have any questions about this, please let us know. We will be happy to talk you through this on an individual basis. In the end, what this means is that the school needs to keep track of who returns the parental consent and make sure that the survey is given only to those students whose parents have not returned the opt-out portion of the consent form. I just want to take a few moments and familiarize you with the online PNA. This will be important for those who have elected to administer the survey to students using this tool. In addition, this section will provide an overview for those people who are considering using the online survey either this year or in the future. 2010 was the first year we offered an online version of the survey. It was very successful and proved much easier for people to administer. There are some minimum system requirements to use the online survey. Students will need to take the online survey using computers that have a relatively up-to-date operating system. In Windows, the survey will be supported using Windows XP or better. On Macs, they need to have at least OS 10. Administering the survey on a tablet, such as the iPad, is also supported. Additionally, the computers and tablets will need to have broadband internet connections and up-to-date internet browsers. The internet browser needs to allow JavaScript and cookies. We have optimized the survey for screen resolution of at least 1024 by 768. Each type of computer that will be used by the students for the survey should be tested on this website prior to the survey administration date. We want the survey process to be completed with as few problems as possible, so please make sure your computers meet these requirements. If you have any problems, please contact us. When it comes time to administer the online survey, all the computers you will be using need to go to the internet address listed here. This address is also included in the survey administration instructions that we will be sending you. When you arrive at this address, you will be prompted to enter a classroom code. The classroom code is the way we identify and control who has access to the survey so that the survey is only given in those schools who have signed up to take it online. We also want to make sure that students can only answer the questionnaire once. For those reasons, there's a time limit of 2 hours from the time that code is first used. After that time, the code will no longer work. The code is sent as a part of the survey materials. Specifically, it is found at the bottom of the first page of the Online Survey Administrator Instructions page. In some schools, you may choose to have the survey administrator enter the code on every computer that will be used prior to the student entering the room and sitting down. In other schools, writing the code on a blackboard or whiteboard, then having the students enter the code themselves might be more viable. This is your decision based on your school and students. It is important to note that the code is only used to identify the school where the respondent is answering the questions. The code is common for all the members of the class in a similar way as a common collection envelope is used for the paper-based survey. On the first page are the instructions for the teacher to read silently. Highlighted under point number 2 is the internet address of the survey. After going to this site, there will be a place for you to enter your online survey code. That code is located at the bottom of your administrator instructions, highlighted here. Generally, people are able to enter the code without any problems. Just remember that the code is case sensitive. This means that capital and lowercase letters matter. When there are problems, it is generally for one of two reasons. First, if an incorrect code is entered, an error message will appear. If that happens, just try to enter the code that you have been given a couple more times. If you still are receiving an error message, please give us a call. Our contact information will be included with the error message or can be found on the survey website. The other error that sometimes occurs is an expired code. Again, if you receive an error message, try using another code that has been given to your school. If you have further issues, please get a hold of us here at WISAC and we will issue you a new code. Once you're into the survey, you will be taken to a set of instructions that the students will read and then begin the survey by clicking the Next button. Students can read the question and click the circle next to their selected answer choice. If they want to change their answer, they just need to click the circle next to their new answer choice. If they want to erase their answer, they simply click their selected answer choice again and it is erased. Some questions require students to mark all that apply. These questions will have boxes next to the response options rather than circles. Students can click as many boxes as necessary to fully answer the question. The survey has a progress meter letting the students know how much of the survey has been completed. Students are free to skip any questions that they do not wish to answer by leaving them blank. Students may move on by clicking the Next button. Student answers are recorded each time they advance to the next page. Once students have fully answered all questions they wish to answer and advanced through all of the pages, they will be finished. Let's begin part 4 of the training. This part covers the paper and pencil administration of the survey. WISAC will have prepared all the survey materials that you need to get the job done prior to administration of the survey. We will have organized the surveys in packets based on how you would like to break them up. Inside the paper-based packets, we will have included materials such as instructions, pencils, and questionnaires. The idea is that you hand the survey packets to the teachers who will be administering the survey. They then open them up, pass out the materials to students, read the instructions and script, and then give the student enough time to complete the survey. The next slide goes over these steps in a little more detail, but this is the basic idea. This slide simply lists the things that you can expect to receive in each survey packet. Please note that we would like you to get these packets to the teachers a day or two before the survey so that they can have time to look them over if they so desire, but also the time needs to be short enough that they don't misplace the packet prior to the survey date. These are the basic steps to administer the survey. The proctor opens their surveying packet and passes out a pencil and questionnaire to each student. They will read the instructions to themselves silently and then read the student script out loud. They should tell the students where the collection envelope is for when students finish their surveys. Then, students can begin their surveys and the proctor should remain in a location where they cannot see student responses. After all students finish or time expires, seal the collection envelope without examining any of the questionnaires. The last few things that we need to do is get the survey ready to send back to WISAC and ensure the confidentiality of the responses. At the end of the survey session, the teacher seals everything in the collection envelope. From there, the teacher returns the packet back to the school survey coordinator. After administering the surveys, all that is left for the school to do is get them back to WISAC. You can place all the completed packets back into the original boxes. Seal up the boxes and use the enclosed UPS labels to return them. If you have any difficulty with UPS, please let us know and we will be happy to arrange another way to return the surveys. Part 5 of this training will cover some potential administration issues that may arise. Like all projects, there are a few things that we want you to be aware of. The first is that you need to know what to do with students who are not taking the survey, but who are present in the classroom. The second is what kinds of accommodations can be made for those with disabilities and low reading levels. Finally, what can be done to maintain the confidentiality and anonymity of student responses. You are going to have some students who do not participate in the survey. This is because their parents did not give permission or simply because the student does not want to take the survey. This survey is voluntary. We cannot force nor coerce anyone to take this survey. Choosing not to take the survey should not be punished in any way. The simple answer for what to do with these non-participating students is to allow them to have an alternative activity. A few examples of this are independent reading, giving them time to complete their homework, or time at the library or computer room. You know your school and your students. Please choose the alternative activities that would best match how you would do things. The thing we would like to emphasize is that we need to make sure that the alternative activities are in no way punitive. In the classroom, of course, there are varying levels of ability between students. For most of the students, this survey will be relatively easy to complete and understand. However, other students, for various reasons, will struggle to get through this survey. It is important that we hear from these students and that they answer the questions to the best of their abilities. We also realize that they may need some additional support and accommodations. For students who are struggling, you should encourage them to try their best on their own first. If needed, the help that you provide should be informational but not interpretive. If you need to explain the question, then that is going too far. Please provide only pronunciation or definitional help. One of the major keys in getting good information from the PNA is to ensure that students feel and know that their answers are anonymous. It is extremely important that students understand that their answers are anonymous and cannot be linked back to them. If they feel this way, then students are much more likely to answer honestly and completely. All the procedures should strive for anonymity. Students should be arranged in the classroom where they cannot easily see others' responses, just as if they were taking a test. Students are most concerned that their teachers or school administration might know their answers, so teachers should sit away from the students as they go through the survey, and the teacher should not walk around during surveying. Finally, the students need to see that the envelope containing their completed surveys is sealed immediately after the last survey is put into it. These procedures will help make sure that the students perceive the anonymity and confidentiality around the information they provide. After all your help in doing the parental consent and administering the survey, I just wanted to let you know when you might expect to receive results back from this survey. Everything should come together so that the results can be released by November of the survey administration year. At that point, the school district reports will be sent to the school district superintendents and, when possible, the district survey coordinators. We will email the reports directly to those people. School-level reports, when they are requested and where it is appropriate, will be sent at the same time to the school principals and school survey coordinators. School district and school reports are confidential. They will not be sent or released to any other individuals without written permission from the school district superintendent. County and state level results will be made public and will be released on the internet. If given the chance, WISAC will also release a press statement summarizing the results for the state at that time. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments after viewing this training, please give Eric Kanan or Sean Heim a call or send us an email. We will be happy to talk to you about it. This concludes this training. We wish to sincerely thank you for your time and help on this project. For additional information and to see copies of the survey materials, visit our website www.pnasurvey.org. Please contact us directly if you have any questions or concerns.